is 6:31. I call this meeting, the Committee of the Whole, to order. Hello. Hello, everybody. When we take our seats. It is 6:31.
Can you hear me?
Calling this meeting to order. Mr. Wilson, can you take your seat? It's on. It's on. Hello. Hello. Mr. Wilson, may you take your seat? 6:32. Will the clerk call the roll? Sorry, clerk.
Furtado. Greer.
Here.
Hanauer Friedman. Lakshin.
Here.
Pugh.
Present.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Rogers.
Present.
Sexton.
Here.
Sollard. Thorsland. Vantage Theronot. Votava.
Here.
Wiggs. Wilson.
Here.
Cagle.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Cowart. Crane. Esri.
Here.
Farney.
Here.
Fava. Locke.
Thank you. I'll get there. Red used to mean go. Also motion by Esri, second by Cagle. I got it right this time. Mr. Wilson.
Chair Locke, I would like to make a friendly amendment and move number 6 communications to after 10 other business, if that's okay.
I've got a motion to move communications. Do I have a second? Ellie? Are there any other motions to amend before we continue? Okay, Ms. Hanauer Friedman.
I move to move Finance Agenda 9 to move it up to 7F.
Okay. That was per special report or special request of
From
circuit
the
clerk.
circuit clerk, yes.
Okay. Is there a second to that? Second by Mr. Farney. Okay.
Can you restate the request? I didn't hear it.
Okay, so we're going to put all of these together, and and then we can seek a motion to this all together and a second to the all together amendment. A motion to move communications to what we would call 10A in other business, and move item 9A or 9A2, the circuit clerk's budget request. Move that to 7F. It would just to move it forward so that the circuit clerk could leave early. She doesn't frequently ask much of us. Oh, we didn't. Okay, and one additional.
Microphone. 82E, resolution appointing Levi Kopman to the Herrick Karen Compromise Drainage District. Further investigation of the appointment has shown that he is not currently eligible to serve under that drainage district. We would like to pull that resolution.
Okay, and then to strike 8-2E.
Yes.
All right, so with all of that, Mr. Wilson, do you make that motion to make all of these amendments?
I so move.
Okay, and Ms. Hanauer Friedman, do you second that, just to keep it clean, that all of them are first and second? Okay, all right. All in favor of amending the agenda as such, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, the ayes have it. All in favor of the agenda, let me try it again. All in favor of the agenda as amended? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Okay, ayes have it. Moving on, approval of the minutes, June 10th, 2025. They have been provided electronically and on our desks. Do I have a motion? Okay, we have Mr. Esri, second by Mr. Cagle. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the ayes have it. Moving on to public input. Reynaldo Camas, please come forward. And I know you've been with us before, so green means going in our new building.
Hello, can we hear you? Okay. I would normally be speaking at the county board meeting, but unfortunately I will not be able to make it. So, and I'm instead speaking to you all in the cow. One of the things, there's multiple things that I wanted to comment about. One of the things was the last county board meeting, there was a group called Unite for Freedom that came forward and they were seeking a resolution. None of them were recently or are in the county, so their only affiliation was that they were alumni of the U of I. Well, as someone who lives in the current county and is a current student, our elections are fine. Our elections are secure, and Unite for Freedom is basically a conservative group, even though they say they are nonpartisan, who are perpetuate the big lie that the 2016 election, was it the 2016 election? I don't know. It's been so long with Trump presidency that it's all over, but that the election was stolen, and the election was not stolen at all. And so, yeah, so our voter rolls are secure. If we really want to talk about an election related issue, is that there's not a lot of accessible options on campus for students to vote during elections, and that should be something that should be fixed. And it doesn't only affect students, it affects the people who work at the university. And so I would love to see more accessible options for voting during election years on campus. The second thing that I wanted to talk about, and honestly, I don't know why I'm talking about it again, is the behavior of the county board, and specifically Ms. Carter. The Facebook post that you made was completely inappropriate.
I would remind Member Carter that rules of decorum allow us to stay silent while members of the public speak. This is Mr. Camas's time.
Yes, and it was completely inappropriate, attacking Emily Rodriguez about her post. Let me pick it up. I have it saved.
I would remind Member Carter to stay silent.
Emily Rodriguez, stop wearing foundation 2 shades lighter than your complexion. That was the Facebook post that was posted. And so, again, attacking, this is a pattern. I have been here on the board before about your behavior of attacking Emily Rodriguez. It was first about asking for her address and a proof of residency, and now about her foundation, which is completely inappropriate. And so I should not be speaking about this because you guys are adults. You guys are adults, and you guys are not acting like adults. Okay? That's simple as that. And Member Carter mentioned at the board meeting how people should put grudges aside, that people should not be foolish, that people should put the priority of do the work of the county. Well, she is not doing the work of the county right now by posting that on Facebook. I don't know what she is doing. And so, that being said, again, I'm not someone who voted for you because I do not live in your district. And so therefore, I will not ask you to resign. But you represent the county. All of the county board members represent the county, and I am a constituent of the county. And I should be demanding better of my county board. And so that's what I'm doing here. So I will not ask you to resign, but I am calling you out on your behavior.
It's not your time to speak, Ms. Carter. Thomas.
And so that's what I'm doing. And I will keep doing it whenever you do something else in the future, because I know you will do something else in the future because your behavior that's the pattern of behavior. And so one of your fellow board members posted that this is your First Amendment, and it is your First Amendment right but the First Amendment protects you from the government. It does not protect you from your consequences from organizations. And so you have to, whatever you post online, there will be consequences. And so whatever consequences that happen from you posting that, you'll have to live with those. That's my time.
Thank you. I have no other slips. Going once, going twice. Sold. Public input is over for the evening. Moving on to Justice and Social Services, Chair Rogers.
Thank you. This evening, we have a presentation from CU 101 Mentoring Program. Lauren Smith is here. She's the Community Outreach Coordinator for Unit 4. So if you could come up and join us, please.
Get my slideshow up.
All right. So as you said, I'm Lauren Smith. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for Champaign Unit 4 School District. I am here tonight to talk about the one-to-one mentor program. In my position at work, I oversee all the volunteers coming into the district and the one-to-one mentor program. But tonight, I'll just tell you a little bit about the one-to-one mentor program. So the mission of our program is to positively impact the lives of select CU students by pairing them with adult mentors to provide support, encouragement, and guidance. And as you see, I know Mike Ingram has been a member of this board on and off. He has been a mentor for many years, is currently a mentor in the Urbana School District, and is also on our Scholarship Foundation Board. The program is based in 18 public schools in Champaign. It should be 8 schools in Urbana because they just added the 6th grade center, so there's now 8 schools. There are mentor volunteer coordinators at every school that work 10 hours a week at our elementary schools, 20 hours a week at our middle and high schools. These people are at the building to help make matches between community-based adults and our students, to work with them, to answer their questions, to solve any problems, things like that. So mentors do have support at every single school in the district. There's one coordinator or director in each district. So I'm the director for Champaign. Angie Armstrong is the director for the Urbana School District, and we do work cross-district. We're the one program between the 2 school districts that work cross-district. A very brief history. This program started in 1994, so we've been around for 31 years. Started by Barbara Linder at Urbana Middle School, at Bottenfield in Champaign, and in Rantoul, and it started with just 38 mentor and mentee pairs. She realized she had some help eventually in Champaign, but there were just 2 people running this program. And it's very hard for 2 people to cover all those schools and recruit. So she and Brenda Kester wrote a grant in 2004 to the U.S. Department of Education. They received that grant. That grant paid the salaries for coordinators, part-time coordinators in all the elementary and middle school. So then we were really able to start recruiting a lot of mentors. The grant ended in 2007, so we had to convince both school boards to put these positions in as permanent positions in the district. And as far as I know, we are one of the only districts in the nation that has this kind of support for mentoring and volunteering. So why did we do mentoring? The poverty rate in our public schools is very high, much higher than what it is in the towns in general. These statistics are from the Illinois Board of Education from 23-24. The poverty rate of students in the public schools in Urbana is 74%. In Champaign, it was 45%. Our kids are facing multiple risk factors. There may be family violence, neighborhood violence. There may be a lack of parental supervision. A lot of our kids, particularly since COVID, feel very, very isolated and not a part of the schools. So can we change these factors? No, we can't. But what we can do is walk alongside our students, offering support and encouragement and being a friend to them. The general parameters of our program is it is a school-based program. We're not asking you to take students to a movie, a basketball game, anything outside of school. You meet with the student for about 30 to 45 minutes during the school day on school grounds. It is relationship building. You don't have to tutor in physics or calculus or English or anything else. We have plenty of tutors that come from all over the community. This is just building a relationship with the student. It's having fun with them, playing games, things like that. We ask that you commit for 1 year with the knowledge we're going to ask you to recommit to the same student each of the following years, ideally following them through high school graduation. Nobody knows the future. So we do end matches. People move, people have different job commitments, things like that. But that is the goal, is to stay with that student. It is once a week when school's in session for 30 to about 50 minutes, depending on the age of your student. So to become a mentor, there is an application that you fill out. You do complete a fingerprint background check with the school district where you're going to mentor. You attend a 2-hour mentor training, and you also interview with the mentor coordinator at the school where you are going to be mentoring, just so that coordinator can get to know you and make an appropriate match with the student. So to become a mentee, a lot of people ask, well, how are the kids chosen for the program? They're referred to the coordinator by teachers, by other staff, by parents, or by themselves. We have a lot of kids who see their friends with mentors and they think, oh, that's really cool. I want a mentor like that. So a lot of the kids will refer themselves. They meet with the coordinator too, have an interview with them so the coordinator gets to know them and can make an appropriate match. And then once they have met with the coordinator and understand the parameters of the program, they take home a permission slip, and we do need signed parent permission before the match begins. So who are the kids that we match mentors with? We generally match 3rd to 8th grade students. Research has shown that is the ideal age to make a strong match and to create a commitment. Occasionally we'll match older students, particularly older students who have lost a mentor due to the mentor moving or something like that. But again, I told you how they were referred, and the kids are generally 3rd to 8th grade that we match. So what do you do if you're a mentor? It's basically about having fun, coming in, meeting with the student, talking with them. It's oftentimes hard to talk to somebody if you're just sitting across the table and asking them questions. So our coordinators have lots of games that you can play. Get to know your student. You can go outside on school property, shoot baskets, throw a football, just take a walk around the school. There are arts and crafts projects. There's all sorts of things that the coordinators will help you figure out what you can do. To be a mentor, you do go through that 2-hour training. We have 3 trainings coming up. The dates are on the screen. It is a fun training. People enjoy it. It's very interactive. If you're interested, those are our next trainings. We also do trainings in the winter again in January and February. That's my contact information. And the final thing I want to say is our kids, we talk with our kids at the end of each year. We give them a survey and ask them, do you want to continue meeting with your mentor? What's your favorite thing about your mentor? Things like that. They love having somebody who listens to them, gives them some respect, and shows up. Those are the big qualities: listening, being willing to have fun, and just showing up. So that's hugely important to be a mentor. Mentors love it too. We also survey mentors. And one of my favorite quotes from a mentor was, I started this program because I wanted to help somebody. Little did I know how much it would help me. It does make a difference in your life. I have 2 mentees. The first one is 30 now. And she, I think, had more impact on me than I probably had on her. So if you're interested, we have lots of kids waiting. I will leave, there's some little postcards that have the training data on them. There's some brochures about mentoring up here. We also have a scholarship foundation board. Every single one of our students that has been in the program for at least 3 years and graduates gets a scholarship of up to $14,000 to attend whatever type of post-secondary education they want to attend. It's split over 4 years, but it can be, if they're going to a 2-year college, they'll get 2 years worth of the scholarship. If they're going to a trade school, they'll get that amount worth of the scholarship. If you don't feel you have time to mentor, but you would like to donate money, this brochure is about our scholarship foundation, and I'll leave some of these up here too if you're interested in doing that, because we always need more money for our scholarships too. I also have paper applications, but on our website you can apply online. A few people still prefer to use paper. So any questions about the program? Yes.
Thank you, Lauren. So about how many kids are actually in the program?
So right now there's about 460 kids total between Champaign and Urbana. So this is in both districts. Yep.
And it's primarily junior high and under, not necessarily high school, or is it?
It is high school because a lot of the mentors will stay with their students. So they start with them in 3rd or 4th grade and they follow them all the way through high school. In fact, right now in Champaign, at least, I have the most mentors at the high school level.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
What is the number of people that you could say are waiting right now
Are waiting.
for matching? Yes.
We have the most probably waiting at our elementary schools, and I would say there's probably at least 2 or 3, 4 at every elementary school. There's also kids waiting at middle school, but the most are at the elementary schools. Yeah.
Any other questions? I have a question. When would the mentoring start? So I know the training starts in September. So ideally, when would you start?
So after you go through the training, complete the fingerprint and all that, ideally you're started by the end of October or early November. And if you train in January or February, it would ideally be before spring break in mid-March. Yep.
Any other questions? Well, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
The monthly reports can be found on each department's website through the department's reports page. I don't have any other business or chair's report, and I don't have any items to be placed on the consent agenda. So back to you. Thank you.
All right, moving on, we have moved forward the clerk's request. Susan, if you want to step forward, I'm sure we might have questions for you, and I will turn this over in a sneak peek to Finance Chair Ellie.
So this is Budget Amendment BUA 2025-7556, Fund 2671, Court Document Storage, Department 030, Circuit Clerk, increased appropriations 115,000, increased revenue 0, reason appropriation for the digitization of divorce case records from 1996 to 2020. Is there any discussion? Or, sorry, can I get a motion? Sorry. Motion by Beth. Can I get a second? Second by Rogers. Any discussion and any questions for our clerk?
It was my beautiful memo. I know.
Memo was extensive. So yes, Chair Locke.
I actually do want to thank you for your beautiful and detailed memo. Every question that we could have asked is answered in there, and it's there for the public to read as well if they want to go to the website.
Because I was on the board, I know how important it is for you all to have the information you need to be able to study the issues that we're asking you to vote on. So I appreciate your time and your thoughtfulness in reviewing this request.
Any further discussion? See none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. I'll turn it back.
All right, back to our regularly scheduled policy, personnel, and appointments. Ms. Vanish Thierenot?
Thank you, Chair Locke. Our monthly HR report for June and July 2025 is on the website. We have some appointments and reappointments. The italics indicate an incumbent, which means they're being reappointed. I would ask that I be able to do a omnibus for A8 to B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K. I know we skipped the first one. I'm just trying to get all my ducks in a row here. But
As they're all drainage districts, I
They
don't
are
see
all
any
drainage
objection within the crowd.
excellent. We also have a resolution changing the terms of the current Urbana-Champaign Sanitary District trustees and updating the term for future appointments. It turns out that due to I want to say clerical error, but I think it was just kind of a misreading of something when the data was initially put into the AS400 system from paper, that was having terms start on June 1st when actually they should have started on May 1st. So that has been corrected. And future appointments will begin May 1st of the year they are appointed. If I could get a motion to approve that. 2A. Okay, thank you. Wilson, and you're seconding? Jenny Lockshin is a second. Is there any discussion? No, seeing none. All in favor, please say aye. All opposed? Motion passes. A1B, resolution appointing Deborah Greist to the Beaver Lake Drainage District, term 9/1/2025 to 8/31/2028. C, resolution appointing Doug Bloom to the Drainage District Number 10, Town of Ogden, term 9/1/2025, 8/31/2028. Resolution appointing Brian Schulter to the Harwood and Care Drainage District, term 9/1/2025 to 8/31/2028. Resolution appointing David Menenga to the Long Branch Drainage District, term 9/1/2025, 8/31/2028. Resolution appointing Michael Buer to the Prairie Creek Drainage District, term 9/1/2025, 8/31/2028. Resolution appointing Kenneth Decker to the South Fork Drainage District, term 9/1/2025, 8/31/2028. Resolution appointing Brian Buss to the St. Joseph Number 3 Drainage District, term 9/1/2025 to 8/31/2028. Resolution appointing Brian Buss to the St. Joseph Number 4 Drainage District, term 9/1/2025, 8/31/2028. And resolution appointing Keith Harms to the West Branch Drainage District, term 9/1/2025, 8/31/2028. May I have a motion? Barney is moved and Esri is second. Any discussion?
My discussion is I'm grateful that there are people that would step up to help be on the board of the drainage district. So we obviously need that. We have, 102 drainage districts? So I think that's really good that someone would step up to do that.
Seeing no other discussion, can we have a vote? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motions B through K pass. We have resolution appointing Alejandro Gomez Jr. to the Mental Health Board, unexpired term ending 12/31/2028. Can I have a motion? Rodriguez, can I have a second? Hennar Freeman. Discussion? Oh, Emily?
I just want to, I also serve on the Mental Health Board. I just want to thank Joe Omiyasagi for his service. It's been great serving alongside him, and this is his choice to replace him. So I'm happy to have him join.
Seeing no other discussion, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We have currently vacant appointments are, as always, posted on the county's website. We have the Job Content Evaluation Committee. There is a creation of a building supervisor position in the Fizz Plant Department effective August 29th, 2025. You can see it on page 23. Can somebody make a motion? Ellie? Second? auction. Discussion. Oh, Emily, go ahead.
I need to recuse myself from this vote.
Okay.
I rent from the Brookens now. We just moved there, so it'd be a little weird.
Go ahead, Jen.
I can, pardon me, if I can, I'd like to ask Michelle to explain a little bit more about the position. But specifically, it is about keeping Brookens full and up to date and making sure there are no maintenance issues, and ultimately trying to make that a self-sufficient facility. As long as we are renting it to RPC, we might as well make sure that we're keeping it full and keeping it running on our tenants' dime. I guess I should say, that sounds terrible. But Michelle can explain that in a much clearer way than I can, so.
Yeah, that's not how we're going to phrase it in the marketing materials, but yeah, so basically, I think the short version of the long story is, given the state of the federal government, RPC is very concerned about funding, long-term funding, and what their future is going to look like. So they are not planning on a move anytime in the near future. In addition, they have just taken on the ICERT program from the U of I. Well, they took it on last year, but they need to find a new location for the ICERT program. And so far, we're making a renovation to all of Pod 400, which is the gym pod, is the most economical, feasible option for them. So it appears that we need to keep the building long-term indefinitely at this point until RPC can come up with a better plan. So in order for that to happen, we need the building to be financially self-sufficient, which means we need to rent the rest of it to paying tenants who can pay for the cost of maintaining the building, including this position, an additional maintenance position, and contributing to a capital pool for the building itself. So major capital program replacements and whatnot would be covered by that capital pool from the tenants. So that is why I'm asking for this position to be created, to take on the work of priority being filling the building with tenants and then managing all aspects of the relationships that we have with multiple tenants.
Ellie, go ahead.
Just to add on to that, to be clear, then this position will not cost the county anything because it will pay for itself through rental income, correct?
As long as the building is rented.
Go ahead, John.
Do we have any other rental properties right now?
We do. And my goal, honestly, would be, once we have Brookens filled consistently, would be to also have this position take on management of Ilias and Metcad, which are also rental properties that do not have any county functions in them. They're completely rented. So I'd like for this position to take on managing those relationships as well.
I have strong opinions on this because this seems to be opening us to being a landlord. And I know it was before my time on the board, but one of the reasons that we purchased this building and renovated it was to get out of Brookens. And now we're talking about creating a position. And when we create positions here at the county, they don't go away. And we're talking about long-term owning this building. And now we're being a landlord for extended periods of time. And I remember Board Member Harper and Board Member Goss being very passionate about this. It just seems like we're opening up ourselves to saying we're going to own Brookens forever. And we know that Brookens is going to need a lot of work. And I don't know how rent would be able to keep up with that in order to do the work that needs to be done there. I mean, again, the reason we purchased this building and spent so much money on this building was to get out of Brookens. And the idea also that it doesn't cost us anything to have this position, I'm sorry, that's wrong. It's rent funds go into the general fund. So really the general fund is paying for this. I think we need to think long and hard about creating this position. And I think we need to be pushing to not own Brookens, find someone to buy it. Maybe, let RPC be a tenant of someone else. But our role here as the county is not to be a landlord. And I don't know why we would want to get into that. So I'll be opposing this tonight, and I'll be opposing spending anything on Brookens because we need to be out of Brookens and done with Brookens. That's what we told people we were doing, and we need to stick to that.
JJ, I would be in complete agreement with you if we lived in a different world. RPC spent a lot of time looking for somewhere that they can go. I'm going to be perfectly blunt. I don't think we're going to find somebody who's going to come in, buy Brookens, and charge them the rent that we're charging. The reason that it's tenable for not tenable for RPC to move is because there's so much ambiguity and so much insecurity on the federal level with the grants that they get. They are almost fully funded from administrative fees from grants. So essentially, while I agree with what you're saying, and I don't think that this necessarily needs to be a long-term thing, we are in the situation that we're in. And unless we are willing to say that we want to kick RPC to the curb, which I know none of us here are saying, there is not another solution that I see. And if we are in the position where right now we're keeping Brookens, our goal should be that it's full. And realistically, that's going to take somebody to make that the case. I completely agree with you that we should continue to pursue other avenues in order to see if there's this unicorn out there that wants to buy Brookens and become a rental agent, if there's another alternative opportunity to put RPC somewhere. Like, I don't think that this forestalls us looking at other solutions. I also don't want to be in the landlord business, but I'd like RPC to continue to have, a roof over their heads. And they have been, I've been in conversation with them since when I was finance chair. They've been trying to come up with a solution for almost 2 years now, and one has not materialized. So I think this is the best card dealt in a stacked deck. If things change at the federal level, and there's some, security in programs that have existed for, in some cases, 50 years, if RPC feels like they are in a position where they can move forward on some sort of financing of a long-term loan to build, right? Then that would be a different position. But I fully agree with their board. They would be foolish to take on that kind of debt now, given the unbelievable, unprecedented insecurity of most of their core funding. And that's the reality that we're in. When we bought Bennett, we didn't know that that was going to happen. I don't think any of us could have foreseen that things like Head Start, right, would be on shaky ground. And that's the reality. So I think RPC is too valuable a part of this county to pull the rug out from under them.
Ms. Lokshin, Ms. Friedman?
I've already spoken. You can go ahead.
So I just recently read somewhere that the RPC received like 3 to 5 million, I think, grant through Nikki Brzezinski. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Okay, where are the funds going to come from for the remodeling of Brookens?
From the tenants.
The remodeling needs done now in order for tenants to be occupants there, correct?
No, there's no money to remodel. I mean, what do you mean by remodel? What are you
Because I'm
thinking?
trying to figure out, like, y'all just almost shut the county down. Like, do you really think that the county can be a landlord? I don't think so. I don't think that you're capable of doing that. I thought that we were going to sell Brookens. I've talked to 2-3 different people that were interested in purchasing Brookens. Is it not for sale?
Not at this time.
As a member of the RPC board, either Mr. Wilson or I could speak to the ICRT grant, the Indoor Climate Research Grant. They're looking for a home where they can build what they used to have in the research park to do that. So they necessarily would be using their grant dollars to do the renovations within the part of Brookens that they would be renting. They would be paying for it. They would be doing those things. I can't speak to other things. I can speak to that grant. If RPC locates the ICRT grant there, they would be paying for it.
It's going to be a no for me.
Go ahead, Ms. Lofton.
Thank you. I do believe and I don't see it in the description. I don't know that that's the appropriate place to list it. But we had talked about in facilities, this being a position that is specifically tied to this facility. So if our tenants are no longer at Brookens, then there is no longer a facilities director needed for Brookens. If we are not managing landlord responsibilities, we don't need somebody to be in that position. Is that something that would be part of the description, or is that something that would be in their contract, or how would that work?
We can put it in the description, but I mean, the description itself is managing tenants. So if there's no tenants, there's no job.
Yeah, I was just hoping you could share a little more, because I know when we discussed this at facilities, you talked about this financially, this really being separate, like a separate fund. This will not be commingled with the general fund.
Yeah, so our idea would be that all rental income would go into a separate fund where it would be easily tracked as income and expenses per building of what is being used for it. So it would not appear to inappropriately inflate the general fund inaccurately, and this position would not be a 1080 fund. It would be specific to the fund that is for the rental income.
Do we have any information about how much rent is coming in currently, what the vacancy rate already is, just so we can wrap our heads around how much the general fund might be on the hook if we don't have a fully occupied building?
Well, I mean, on the hook would be like utilities and maintenance, like day-to-day maintenance costs, because there's no obligation that you're continuing to do the capital projects if the money's not there. So, that's an ambiguous answer to a question. But if the money isn't there to do for the capital project, then the money's not there. Right now, the majority of the building is empty or will be empty in the next few months. So RPC maintains the majority of Pod 100. The ICERT program would take over all of Pod 400, which is the gym pod, the old Shields Carter, the old Putman, and a portion of the clerk's office. And the auditor would be there. And RPC wants to move their Head Start management. They're currently scattered among multiple locations right now, so they want to move them all into the old admin hallway, so that would be rented. And I have a couple of other entities that I'm generally talking to right now. They're asking questions, but nothing else is like talking about signatures at this point.
Jamal?
I also have concerns about creating this position because I also thought we were planning to sell the building. So what are the future plans for the building? And are we only keeping the building right now to basically help save RPC?
Well, so we did the RFP for the broker, and then things got pretty dicey on the federal level. So we paused on putting the building on the market while we were trying to figure out what was going to happen in terms of RPC being able to move out. They decided that it didn't seem fiscally responsible for them to attempt to move out onto their own right now. So we did not go back to the RFP for the broker, and we started putting together this concept of, if we kept the building, how could we do that with it being as self-sufficient as possible? Keeping or not keeping the building is a board decision. Like, that's not, I'm not arguing about that right now in this proposal. I would say that I think it's important to remember that RPC is a department of the county. They cannot do anything on their own. They cannot buy property, they cannot get a loan, they cannot build. Like if they tried to do any of that, it would be under the county name. It would still be the county's debt, the county's bond, the county's whatever financial means need to happen to have that. It would still be the county's ultimate responsibility to make sure that those debts are paid, regardless of what does or does not happen funding wise for RPC. I think that there is absolutely uncertainty on this. I'm not going to say that anything for sure is going to happen. I don't see another way for us to support RPC in what they need right now by not providing a space for them to securely be for at least a few more years. And by that, I mean 4 to 5 years. Even if things calm down on the federal level next year, it would be a couple of years before the funding concerns also calm down and they could go back to their plan of looking for another space. So even a change on the federal level, it's going to take years to trickle down to them and what they're working on. And I would also say that I understand the concerns and frustrations about being a landlord. We are a landlord. We've been a landlord for, I just saw a lease the other day that originated in 1970. We've been a landlord for a really long time. It's not a new thing. If that's not something that we want to do, that's a bigger conversation we need to have, because there's a lot of buildings and land that we need to get out from underneath then, if that's not what we want to do. And that's a direction that I think we need to identify as a whole, if that's where we're going, because as of right now, we manage a lot of property for ourselves and for other entities, for other governmental entities, in cooperation with helping them provide the services that they provide. The service we provide is we provide a place for them to be at a lower cost. I'm also looking, and we talked in more detail about this at the facilities committee, when we talk about renting to tenants, there's a varying scale of square footage costs that we can use. And ideally, I see a scenario where we're renting at a square footage cost to some of our tenants, not all of them, but some, that is generating income for the county. I think that we could get there if we had someone whose entire job was making sure we had tenants. But that is a really big task. Just people are interested, but just the amount of work of giving them information about the building, showing them around, talking them through the lease, like that's just a whole person to do all of that, and then help them move in, deal with all the problems, manage the building while they're there. But I do see a scenario done well where the building is generating money for the county.
Brett?
Thanks. Does RPC have a lease with us or some kind of an agreement, or is it just, what does that look like?
Yeah, we have a lease.
How long is that for?
The current lease expires at the end of 26.
So if we're wanting them to stay longer, we're going to put money into this building and stuff, we might want a much longer lease for them to be there. At least is what my thought is.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I don't recall, because I wasn't part of that. Was there a promise, like Mr. Farney said, that we would sell Brookens or not? Are we changing our mind? We told the public we would sell Brookens because of this building. Is that a true statement, a factual statement?
I think the problem was the county purchasing buildings and not having maintenance plans to upkeep those buildings. So that's, I thought, was the reason why they wanted to get rid of Brookens altogether. Now, that was my intake. I don't know if that was correct, if everybody heard that correctly, but that's what I took from the prior board members. That's what their concerns were.
Anybody know?
I wasn't on the board. I came on when you did. So but as a member of the public, I believe that the public was led to believe that eventually we'd get rid of Brookens. But RPC, under lease or not, we're on the hook for RPC's rent obligations, right? Like they're still ours. If their grants go away, we're on the hook for it. I do have a question for for Ms. Jett, though. If this position doesn't pass tonight, duties of maintaining the building continue to fall to the facilities director, correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Furtado?
Yeah, I mean, I was on the board and I could say, yeah, we definitely said we want to get out of the Brookens business. I still want to get out of the Brookens business. I also am completely comfortable talking to any constituent about where we are. I think the circumstances on the ground changed from whenever we started the process, 2022, 2021, to now. There's been material change in the conditions of the operating of one of the core services of our county. And we have to respond in kind. That doesn't mean long-term, I want to continue to be in the Brookens business. I, as you know, because you're in facilities, talked about that we need to have a trip line where if, a year and a half in, this isn't working, we revisit the conversation. And that's, to Brett's point about a long-term lease, I actually think we need to continue to have, 2-year leases or whatever as much as possible so that if we need to revisit because for whatever reason, the footprint isn't working, right? We're not, people aren't interested in renting it despite our best efforts, that we aren't seeing a drain there. And then we would have to have a very real conversation. I've been in hours worth of meetings with RPC and I don't see the alternative. It's very, very easy to say no, but then explain to me what is the plan for them. And if you can't, I would urge you to vote for this because it is not fair to them. And I don't think it's fair to the constituents who they serve, who are some of the most vulnerable people in our county, to simply say, we want to get out of the landlord business. And then they say, so what's the plan for RPC? And we have no response. I think that is what's irresponsible.
I would really like to not see us be penny wise and pound foolish here. The cost of a maintenance person to be on site can save you literally millions of dollars if they notice so much as a leaking pipe right before Christmas, when the building's going to be empty for months. You cannot underestimate the value of having someone fixing small problems before they become big problems, or noticing small problems and reporting them to become big problems. Anybody who has ever managed a property knows how fast a small problem can become a very big problem if nobody is there to notice it and nobody's reporting it. I would also add that, as Michelle said, that RPC is our responsibility, and making them go somewhere where they're going to pay more rent is just picking our own pockets. We are not just, supporting them by keeping them a roof over their heads out of the goodness of our own heart. That is also money that we are going to be paying if they are not there, regardless. Go ahead.
Thank you. Michelle, if we, this is kind of hypothetical, I guess, if we had a current facilities director, and I realize there are reasons to not be replacing that person at this point in time, but say we had Dana Brenner or Eric, they were doing their job, could they basically, granted they wouldn't be there every day. I understand that, and there is something we said about being there every day, but do they have the time, do you think, to effectively do this position that you're creating, or do they not have the time, I guess you could say, like during the week or day to day, however you want to put it?
My concern would be, I don't think that they have the time to prioritize keeping the building full and well taken care of. And those are what I consider to be the two priorities. I want someone in the building interacting with the tenants and paying attention to the building itself so that it is full and it is being taken care of, and we are addressing problems the minute we find them or as soon as we financially can. But to have a building that we're not in staff-wise, and we don't have someone whose focus is that building, that concerns me.
Jeff, and then John, and then Stephanie.
This is what my concern is. Number one, if there was some type of promise made to the public that we were going to, because we're building this building, because I wasn't here when those discussions were made, and I can understand there can be changes. I'm not adverse to change or the circumstances that cause a change. What kind of bothers me is who's the person's communicating to the public that we decided that we're changing our mind. That's number one. And I'm okay with changing the direction. It doesn't bother me. I like to be transparent in our communication. I seem, based on this discussion, it doesn't seem we're not as transparent as we could be or should be. And then number two, if the sole reason for keeping the facility is to provide a less expensive, more cost-effective space for RPC, why then are we expanding the role to include other rental people or other facilities to rent to other organizations above and beyond RPC? So it seems like it's really, I'm going to take care of RPC, but oh, by the way, now that I'm doing that, I'm just adding more stuff for a rental situation. So somehow, I can understand why I'm all for getting more income, but I think we need to be transparent and explain what we're doing. And it seems like I'm taking the camel in the nose. How does that go? The nose in the camel's tent, and then once the nose is in there, the whole body is in there. And that seems like I'm protecting RPC. But oh, by the way, I'm all for protecting RPC. So don't have to guilt me into that part. But I don't understand why then that gives us an avenue to add more renters into that building or other spaces. So if you can explain all that, then it makes sense to me.
Ellie was, oh, sure, go ahead, Steve.
Jeff, if we could just maintain only for RPC, I suppose that would be an option, but we've seen what happens when you neglect a facility. When you look at the old nursing home and you don't maintain it, you end up with actually additional costs. We can't sequester, we have RPC in A pod and in pod 400, but we have the rest of the building that has got to be maintained or it's going to start falling apart. I was with Stan on the board when I said, yes, we need to get rid of Brookens. RPC was looking as recently as late last year. They had found some locations, but with the current funding environment, they did not think it was prudent. And frankly, I agree with it. If we were going to try and make them move at a much higher rate, we're going to be cutting services to kids would be the outcome.
Go ahead, Stephanie.
I was going to actually ask, are we charging a rate that's based on the market here in Champaign-Urbana, or are we charging our tenants based on just a number that someone came up with that seemed like it fit into what RPC or somebody else could make work? And I have a second question after that.
We have a rate based on the cost of the building. So we know per square footage how much it costs to maintain the building and contribute to a capital fund. So generally that is the rate that we're charging RPC. We plan to charge a higher rate to other entities, and that additional funding could then contribute even faster to the capital plan.
Okay. And then you said that something about creating some kind of a new fund to sequester this rental money and everything. Right now, rent is almost $800,000 to the general fund. We need to have much more detailed discussion about that when that comes, because that's
well, there's two things there, right? So we don't need to move existing rental income, right? We can start with new tenants going forward are put into the capital plan, into that fund. We could do it all different ways, right? But the goal would be that we need to be able to identify what is coming in that is going into the capital fund for the building. That's my bigger concern, is making sure that we can clearly look at how much are we bringing in by rent and how much are we taking out by expense? And one of them definitely needs to be higher than the other one, and there's only one right answer for that.
And then finally, I'd request a roll call vote on this.
So I just want to talk about options, like here in the real world. There's option one, where we somehow just continue to rent for RPC, I don't know, put up walls in the rest of the building and let the rest of the building go to hell. That doesn't seem like a real good plan to me, right? As we've seen what happens when you just have an empty building. Or we could try to raise revenue in order to keep the rest of the building up until we don't want it anymore. Option two, and this is very important, RPC can only charge for every grant has a different formula, a certain percentage in admin fees, right? They do a good job maximizing that out. Based on the rental market, they do not have the funds to go onto the rental market to find rental space that is in their footprint. This is not actually, I'm going to disagree. It isn't that they would be serving kids less, because that you cannot take a higher amount of administrative fees. Do you see what I'm saying? For every grant, you get so much administrative fees. When they did the math, it doesn't add up on the rental market. The third option, what I would argue is the best option, is they buy or build, right? Because then they're out of renting altogether and they own the property. But here's the thing. If they buy or build, they are going to have to finance it, which means the county is going to have to finance it. They are going to go out, they'd have to go out on bond, right? That's the reality. My question is, given the fiscal climate of their revenue sources, are we as a county encouraging them to pursue that option? There is not a rental space that they can afford. If we are saying we want them to become the owner of a property, do you see what I'm saying? We are saying that then we, as a body, if we're going to take them down that path, are going to vote yes on a bond. Given their financial plan, how on earth would we say that that's a secure bet? Because if their grants disappear, which, as we all know, if you watch the news, federal grants are disappearing left and right, we as a county are on the hook, right? In order to pay off that bond. Right now, at any time, if this doesn't work, once the lease is up, we could revisit that. We go on a 10-year bond because we encourage RPC 20-year bond and their finances fall apart. The bigger risk is that. Those are the options. If anybody has another option, I would love you to explain it. But again, if you're going to vote no and you do not have a plan, I do not understand that vote.
Ms. Carter.
Have we had an appraisal for the property?
I believe there was one around maybe 2017, 2019.
Okay. So we need an updated appraisal. Now, this is what my understanding was from last year. I heard from multiple organizations. They wanted to make this a collaborative buy. If it's not on the market, how do you know that it could even be purchased? Or nobody knows any numbers. They asked me, I asked Steve, I think I even asked you. Nobody even know what the building is for sale for. I think the best bet, our best bet, is to let the RPC finish renting, and the nonprofit organizations that reached out to me and spoke to me said that they were going to bring other nonprofit organizations into that building. And now you're saying you want to rent it. So I don't get it. I think I would go with the nonprofit organizations. That's who I am going to cheer for, because I think it should be it should stay a supportive place for the community. And so I know those other nonprofit organizations, I'm not going to name them, but I know there were 3 that I spoke with last year that had no prices on the building, and they were definitely interested. So I think it needs to go on the market. I think we need an updated appraisal. We need to put it out there in the community, and we need to go from there. This right here looks like a friend that you may know that you may want to hire for this position, because that's the way that y'all work. Yeah, you can laugh, but that's what y'all do. Y'all look out for each other. So I would not be voting for this position just for that reason. Thank you.
Ms. Reeds, please come to the microphone.
Okay, so first of all, I would remind you all that the item on the agenda is about creating a position. You all have gotten really far afield, so that's my state's attorney hat coming on here. You're talking about RPC and selling buildings and all kinds of things that are not what's on the agenda. But Ms. Carter, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you, Ms. Carter. Okay, I'm going to agree with you in the sense that there's an opportunity here because you own Brookens and nobody's buying it. Come on, let's be real, right? There's no non-for-profit entity that's going to buy Brookens. It's a giant building. There's, not one non-for-profit. Now, I am now putting on my Children's Advocacy Center hat because we are one of the tenants, possible tenants, who are talking about moving into the Brookens building. We currently pay rent to public health. We'd like to be closer to Urbana. We'd like to pay rent to the county. We are a county department. Instead of paying rent somewhere else, we should probably be part of the county system. But we are concerned about whether the building is going to be maintained. And I think that this is an opportunity, and if you have a building manager whose job it is to expand on this opportunity, that person could reach out to other non-for-profits who might be interested in renting from the county instead of renting from wherever they're currently renting from. And we could create a building whose focus is, along with RPC, assisting people in the community. I've seen this before in San Diego. They have an entire downtown office building that is solely, its purpose is non-for-profits who help people, victims of domestic violence, victims of sexual abuse, the people who have pets who need help. I mean, a wide variety. There's all kinds of opportunities here, but you got to have somebody whose job it is to make that happen. And right now, you don't have anybody, and Michelle is trying to do it all on her own. And you have 6, 7, however many buildings, and nobody to maintain them. So I'm asking you to think logically here. You're talking about one position, and there's lots of opportunities here.
Speech
you.
Over. Ms. Lokshin and then Brett.
Actually, I was going to ask if we called a question for this one.
I guess that's what we're going to do. As a reminder, we are voting on the creation of the building supervisor position in the physical plant department that is effective August 29th, 2025 to maintain Brookens and find new renters. We have to do what? We do, somebody has to propose a roll call. You asked for a roll call. We did not vote on a roll call. Do we not vote on a roll call? Okay.
We do need to vote on calling the question.
Thank you. Okay. Is that also a roll call vote? Okay. Somebody's called the question. Those in favor? Aye. Those opposed? All right, here we go. The clerk, please read the roll.
Hurtado,
Yes.
Greer,
Yes.
Hanauer Friedman,
Yes.
Lokshin,
Yes.
Pugh,
No.
Rodriguez, abstain. Oh, thank you. Rogers,
Yes.
Sexton, Vantage Theronot,
Yes.
Votava,
Yes.
Wilson,
No.
Cagle,
No.
Carter,
No.
Esri,
Yes.
Farney, no. Locke.
Yes.
Yes, have it. Reclassifying of the legal secretary position in the public defender's office to an administrative legal secretary. You can find that on page 28 to 35. There's a memo. Would someone care to make a motion? Ms. Locke, we have a second. Can't have conversation without a second. Thank you. Mr. Cagle. Discussion. Oh, go ahead.
If you wouldn't mind, I'd like to give a little bit of the history of this request for everybody. So the request was first entertained by my predecessor, Ms. Miller. And at the time that that request was considered, which was probably 3.5 or 4 years ago, the Gallagher study was on the table. And she was told by her word to me that we were going to wait on all job description changes until the Gallagher study was completed. And then there would be data to back up moving people into different positions and such. So that study was done. But my understanding is that nothing is going to happen with the recommendations from that study at this time. So I brought it back up in January of this year, and I presented my memo to the Job Content Evaluation Committee, and I was told that we were going to wait because AFSCME negotiations were ongoing, and we didn't want to make any changes in AFSCME titles or positions while those negotiations were pending. So I have had this on my radar for a long time, almost since I took over at the Public Defender's Office. And part of that reason is because the job description, first of all, for legal secretary has not been updated since 2004. When I came here, I completely changed our office. I digitized it. I taught old dogs new tricks. Everybody now is versed in various elements of downloading, analyzing, cutting, clipping, doing all kinds of things with digital evidence, which we had not previously done. Our files are all now completely digital, so they are saved and backed up on our shared drive. Our secretaries now, instead of working with paper, work almost solely with computers, and they have had to learn a lot of new skills in order to do that. They were not huge fans in the beginning, but they took it in stride and worked with me and supported me because I thought it was necessary to bring our office into the 21st century, and we did that. The other thing about them, and I just want to say for the record in case any of them are listening, is that we would absolutely fall apart without them. Teresa and Bobby have worked for the county for 21 and 23 years respectively, most of that with the Public Defender's Office. Our Eileen is relatively new, but they work incredibly well as a team. They help me, help the community. They counsel and comfort families of our clients. They field calls, sometimes 15 to 20 calls a day from some of our clients who are suffering from mental illness and breakdowns in the jail, and they call all day, every day, and they talk with them and they calm them. They process every bit of our files. We would not function without them. And the reason why I wanted this position change was because I wanted, A, for the position description to match what they actually do, because right now it doesn't include any of the stuff that they do. The communication part is in there, but the modernization is not. And if one of them were to retire or leave for some reason, and I were to try to hire somebody in that position, the job description would not match. It asks for qualifications that are not what I need. And so I thought that by doing this, it would recognize both the changes that I've made, but also the value of the work that they do. When I asked for it, I was not familiar with the collective bargaining agreement, and I did not know that promoting them would result in a 10% automatic raise under the terms of the contract. I thought it deserves a raise, but I didn't know it was going to be 10%. When the union came to me and told me it was going to be 10%, I said, whew, that's 10%. Let me take a look at my budget and see what this looks like. Because as you all know, I don't make decisions that affect the county's budget without asking you all first. And so I ran it by administration. I received a copy of my personnel output spreadsheet. And what I found was that I had more money than I thought. And the reason I had more money than I thought is because one of my attorneys, who is paid by a grant, was actually reflected in my 1080 general fund budget. And so that money was not being paid out of my regular personnel budget, and that money freed up. And so I was like, well, that's perfect, because now I can pay them the 10%. They get the promotion that they deserve, and I don't have to ask you guys for any more money, which is always a good thing. So I am here tonight in support of the memo that was written by the Job Content Creation Committee. I think that, first of all, the job description that my staff performs, it needs to be adequately reflected by what the county posts. And the fact that we haven't had an update to that description in 21 years is a little nuts, honestly. But I'm glad that it's before the board tonight. The question has been raised to me, what does this do to fiscal year 26? And my answer is, well, there will be a slight increase likely, because instead of getting the regular AFSCME 3% that they would get on top of what they currently make, they would get 3% on top of the raise that I give them, which would be, I think, maybe between $2,000 to $4,000 is what I've calculated it at. So that's my spiel, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Ms. Carter.
I just wanted to correct you real quick. I think the oldest job description that's listed on there is 1999, I think is what we went back to. And that's really sad, because none of the job description is reflecting today's work. And so I appreciate you. I appreciate your service and what you've brought to this county, because it definitely needed it. And I will be voting yes. Thank you.
Mr. Farney. Then Mr. Wilson.
So this question actually might be more from Michelle. If we do this tonight, are we going to have a domino effect with other departments where they have people in similar positions that are going to be looking to the same thing?
Yes, I think that is always the possibility when there is a JEC change.
Mr. Wilson.
Thank you. A couple questions. All right, so I'm going to think and question at the same time. So in my thought process, I'm thinking seems reasonable. And it seems like you're fitting the function, whatever, with the duties that they're actually doing. I was trying to think through, why would all three get the new description rather than maybe one or two? That's question one, because it seems like you would still eventually still need a legal secretary. Not that I've ever done the job, so not even pretend that I have ever done it. But if all three are becoming, I think that's a step up, right? From
It's a grade increase.
Okay, so it's a grade increase. Does it have to be all three? Are you still going to need the legal secretary duties? And then what are the unintended consequences of this action?
So to answer your first question with regards to why all three, so we have 17 lawyers in the public defender's office. Technically on your little vacancy list, it says that there's one missing, but that's because she doesn't start until August 25th. So I'm fully staffed, and there are 3 secretaries for 17 of us. In contrast, and I did look because I know Ms. Reitz is going to want to talk to you, and she's got concerns because her staff are also AFSCME. They're currently administrative legal secretaries, which is another one of the reasons why I wanted to make mine equal to them, because they do the same type of work and all the digitization, everything is similar. And I think it should be, fair that they have the same grade as the other job description in the county. But in comparison, the FTE for the state's attorney's office is at 22 attorneys and 12 secretaries. So now they do a lot in terms of volume, because we deal with the receipt of discovery and they deal with the production of discovery. And so it is, I think, fair that there are a few more per attorney in the state's attorney's office than me, because they have to generate those reports and generate that digital evidence, which can be slightly more time consuming. So that makes sense. But that being said, my secretaries serve 6 of us at a time. And they don't have different duties. They all do the exact same thing because they rotate and they share responsibility amongst them. So they have a system that we have developed where when two of them are on phones, the other one's working on opening arraignment court files. And when one of them is working on arraignment court for the next day or detention hearing processing, the other one's working on creating answers and electronic filing. So they all really do the exact same thing. They just rotate through it and they take turns. So all of them have the increased skill that I have demanded from them. One of them is relatively new, so she learned after I already instituted the new system, and the other two have been there for a very long time and were forced to adapt when I changed everything. So the reason why all three need to change is because all three of them do the increased role. The question of what are the unintended consequences, there's of course the minor financial consequence, which is if there is a raise next year, there will be a raise on a higher salary. And so that will be, but I said only three of them, and it's not that much money. I mean, T's been with the county for 23 years and she makes 49 grand. So it's not like we're talking a ton of money here. The other potential unintended consequence is what was raised about other departments, because other departments may look at what I've done and say, well, now to make it equal, we have to do that for our staff as well, which I know is a concern of the state's attorney and other people that have similar grades as I do. And you know, I know that I'm supposed to care about that. I don't. I know you guys have to care about that. But my job is to take care of my department. And that if we don't give them a job description change because we're worried about what that might do to the finances of other departments in case other people get upset about that, then that means that their work isn't recognized and that they will be under an old job description that doesn't appreciate what they do. And when I have to hire somebody, I'm going to have to hire somebody that without the skills of what we have taught them, because that means that it's the old secretary, legal secretary description, which does not incorporate any of the stuff that I have done to fix all of this. So I'm sorry if that's too blunt, but honestly, you know, the other departments, they can come to you. We can talk about that. I know that the overall finances are a big concern for you, but my concern is about my department making sure it works, that I can retain my staff, that I can recognize them for the work that they perform, and that when it comes time to hire, I have the right description in place. Now, it's not my fault that AFSCME negotiated a 10% raise for promotions. But so what does that mean? I'm never going to change the job description because it's money? So that if I have to hire, I can't because of this? I'm sorry, that just doesn't make sense to me.
Ms. Furtado.
So first of all, I am fully in support that your folks should be F. So just so everybody understands this, in Julia's office, in the state's attorney's office, there's 10 of these kind of positions. They all are already F. In the PD's office, they're E. Nobody seems to know why. It just has been that way for years and years and years. The issue is not, and I think that it's fine. The difference per year is, I did the math, for this, it's $13,688.50 plus, you know, a third for benefits, right? So that's the difference for those three people.
Say that number one more time, please.
$13,688.50. And that's just a forever cost. If you could eat that money in this budget because you're not fully staffed, next year when you're fully staffed, that's
not why.
Yeah. So that's you know, that's a forever cost. The issue is that what actually there's the grades, but it's what actually people are paid. The PD's office has two people that have a lot more seniority, but on average, those three people make 7.2% more in grade E than Julia's attorneys make in grade F. With this raise, they would be making 16% more. So do you see what I'm saying? So even though they'd be coming in to match the grade in Julia's office, her people then would be getting paid considerably less. If you just look at the two people with seniority, they already make 13.66% more than the rate of the people in your office. And they would, with this raise, make 23% more than the people in Julia's office. And I do think that part of the goal of this role of this board is to think about the unintended consequences. And while I do appreciate and I agree that it is your job to advocate for your people, and I do think that these people are misgraded, right? The difference to raise the salaries of the people in Julia's office so that in all of our admin legal secretaries on the court side would be another $49,156.55, which Julia calculated. So when you add it all together, what we're talking about is $62,000 a year. And I don't see how you do one without the other. I just don't, I don't see how you could have in one side people whose midpoint, right, is, depending on how you calculate it, is 16% higher than people doing the exact same job, just on a different part of the court. And I'll be honest, I don't know if there is similar positions in the clerk's office, in the circuit clerk's office. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think so.
So that just for the landscape of this classification, I do think it makes a ton of sense that these E's should be F's, because it makes no sense to me that why are you E and she's F? But I also don't know why your people are already paid so much higher than her people, even when you put seniority into it. Do you know what I'm saying? I mean, seniority doesn't give you a quarter of a, 25% higher salary. So for whatever reason, your folks have been brought in at a higher rate than her folks have. And so it is going to cause a significant amount of pay disparity. And I do think that that's something that this board needs to consider.
Well, and I think we need to look at the seniority and in more detail than just generalizing.
Yeah.
Because Bobby and T have been there for over 20 years.
No, I did the math. And so that they would make 23% more than the average person in Julia's office. And she has some people who have been there for 12 years. You know what I mean? But that's including all of them. They would make 23% higher in grade F than the average in Julia's office. So that seniority is accounted for.
Well, I'm not great at math, but I'll have to take a look at your numbers because that's not what I saw when I looked at the spreadsheet. But
Okay. Brett has his hand up, and then Ms. Reitz would like a chance to respond.
Thank you. I have no problem paying this because I think there are a lot of county employees right now that are doing a lot more work than their job description says. And we should have been going through and reclassifying a lot of these people for at least long before I came on this board, because I've heard it from a lot of different employees, how much they have to do more, how much they have to do extra. They love their jobs, but then we should be paying them for it.
Ms. Reitz.
I'm going to lower this.
You'll be next, Mr. Wilson.
And this is why Ms. Pollock is a fantastic public defender, because she advocates very strongly for her clients and for her staff, and she does a fantastic job making a very compelling argument. This is not an us versus them thing. It really is not. Okay? I'm going to advocate for my staff, and the math doesn't math. I completely agree with what Ms. Furtado said. I don't know why the public defender's secretaries are grade E and mine are grade F. I have grade E people, and I had 3 grade E people who all were in the support enforcement division, and I moved them up to grade F because I thought that was appropriate. But I also have a grade E, and I have a grade G, senior admin legal secretary, who is Ms. Weishart on the chart. If you all have it, I don't know if you all have it, but and that was a promotion, and she has more responsibility. So there are 3 grades actually available. And I would also say I don't have any problem if Ms. Pollock were to ask for an additional support staff person. I will stand up here and completely support her on that. Why does she only have 3? I don't know.
I only have 3 desks.
Well,
I already stole half the jury.
I think she should have more support staff. We all have a lot of additional responsibilities in the criminal justice system that come from digital evidence and just all the increases and changes that have happened over the years. She should have more people. Okay, but we are not bound to start our people at the minimum starting salary, and neither of us do. So if you look at our two most recent hires, I have Ms. Kersey, and she has Ms. Acosta Gonzalez. And they currently make about the same amount. If Ms. Acosta Gonzalez gets an additional 10% increase, then she is going to be 11 cents below the midpoint of grade F, and Ms. Kersey is going to be $1.72 below the midpoint of grade F. That's a big difference for one of my secretaries. So that's compelling to me. How do I say to Ms. Kersey, you should make $1.72 below the midpoint when someone who has about the same experience in county makes 11 cents below the midpoint? So I will, if this happens, give all of my secretaries a 10% raise. Now, we just negotiated a contract, and everybody got 3% and a $3,000 bonus, and next year they're going to get 3%. And so this does have financial consequences. There has got to be a way, if this is just about the 10%, then you got to look at the reality of the dollars, you know, and my people and her people are making about the same amount of money for their longevity and what they do. So give her another person. You can vote on that right now. But we got to figure this out a different way. We've got to reclassify people so they're all have the same title and they're treated fairly and all of that sort of thing. But you got to look at the numbers, because otherwise I'm going to have a revolt. And it's not just me. It's also going to be the clerk's office and the circuit clerk's office and the county clerk's office and everybody. So that's my spiel.
Mr. Wilson, and then Ms. Carter.
Thank you. I 100% agree with every single department head that advocates vociferously for their employees. And I don't think it's incumbent upon them to even care what the other departments do or don't do. They should just advocate for the best working conditions and salary for their employees. And that's, I agree, the right thing to do. However, it's our responsibility, right? This is roles and responsibilities. It's our responsibilities to fully understand the unintended consequences of an ask. And for me, I'm not at that point where I can make an affirmative decision to this, because I don't have an adequate grasp of the unintended consequences. I 100% agree that the workload and what the individuals are doing should be reclassed, recategorized, but I also believe in fairness and equity, broad brush across all our workers that live in our county. And I don't think we're at that point tonight, for me personally, to make that decision. We do have a budget cycle going through, right? I think by the end of this month, we will have each department advocate what they need for their departments. And then we could fairly, hopefully, without too much passion, figure out what's best for all the employees at all the different grades and how they're classified for our county. And then understand the unintended consequences. And what I think my fear is the unintended consequences, in order to make it fair and equitable to so many individuals, is that we may not have enough budget for all those salaries. And that's what I'm concerned about. So I would rather for me to table this until we've gone through the budget process and then have figured out what is best for everybody. So I'm going to vote no because I don't know what all the unintended consequences are.
I'd ask for clarification as well from people that know the contract and people that know the job content evaluation process. Because my understanding, what I was told, is that this is a new position in the public defender's office. So until the position is created, I can't hire anyone into it or promote anyone into it. So if you guys vote no on this, then the admin legal secretary position does not exist within my office. And my secretaries remain a grade below the state's attorney's office. And they also remain doing work far outside of their job description. My understanding was also that if I do this, then there is an automatic mandatory, I can't get out of it, no way, shape, or form, ask me required 10% increase. So to me, it's either we give the position and I have the ability to move these people, or we don't, and they stay where they are, unrecognized and doing work beyond their description. And God forbid, one of my ladies leaves, then I cannot hire in with the qualifications that I currently need. I appreciate the offer for you all to vote on me having a fourth legal secretary. I have no room for that. I don't have a space to put another person. I still, even after taking over the jury assembly room part of it, I still have 4 people in cubicles, one of them in a hallway. And that's with the addition of the offices that we were built thanks to the generosity of the board in helping me do that. But I have literally no space. So as much as I would love to decrease their workload by hiring a new person, I physically cannot, just as a clarification.
All right, Ms. Carter, Ms. Locke, and then who had their hand up over here? Ms. Rodriguez.
Thank you. So, you know, I just want to look at the system that we're under, this type of government. What really started all of this is the gracious salary increases that our executive gave everybody in his office and forgot about the rest of the workers. I think just moving forward, one that gets 10% to 15% increases, everybody should. You just hit on that too, Mr. Wilson. I think that that was wrong for the executive to look out for his staff and then forget about the rest of the county staff. So the state's, I mean, not the state's attorney's office, the public defender's office has been understaffed and overworked. Okay. And the fact that you got 18 now, you got 17 now, but one that's going to start working.
17 once I'm fully staffed, and 18 after you guys approved my request for my new position during the budget process.
Right. And we've come a long way. So thank you. But to be fully staffed would be 22.
27.
I knew I was off a number. Yeah. Something needs to change, but this form of government. We'll never, you know, I guess all agree on that, but it should be all across the board. When anybody get pay increases, it should be a flat rate for everybody. It shouldn't be picked and choose who gets what. And that's why we're in the mess that we're in right now. Thank you.
Chair Locke, Ms. Rodriguez, and then Ms. Reeds, please.
Okay. This is taking longer than I thought it would. Sorry. Really, I'm like Mr. Wilson, I'm going to think out loud here. We know, no matter where you stand on the dollars, we know that our employees should be doing the job that they're paid to do. Their job classification should match their job duties. And we know, or most of us can agree, that this job description that they're currently working under does not match the duties that they're being asked to perform. And we learned, all of us during this, that the 10% increase is unavoidable per the union contract, and it will remain that way. It'll always happen. So is the solution to never, ever, ever, ever fix it and always have it like, well, we're going to bust out the scribe and the chisel and the slate because they don't need to be trained on computers? Or do we make it match? And then when people retire, new employees get paid something different. The solution could be maybe we leave these as they are and then change it later on. But in the meantime, we're we're hamstringing the public defender's office when that happens. I'm going to repeat what you said, like if they retire, if they hit the lottery, whatever, they're not going to be able to do it. And I sympathize with your position, Ms. Reeds, where your employees deserve to be paid their worth as well. I get that. But the question in front of us is, do we classify the worth here? We talk about the employees, our respect for them, our respect for what they're doing. We also need to rightfully say, in my opinion, we need to rightfully say what they're doing, and so that we can respect what they actually do, not just respect what their job description from over 20 years ago says. So I will be voting in support of this. I will also understand the consequences that come down the road, and I am one person. That's all.
Mrs. Rodriguez.
Thanks. First, I want to say, after chairing AFSCME negotiations for 6 months, it makes me giggle to guess what will matter to workers and county employees. You'd be surprised. It's not always what you think it is. My question to you is, have you thought about using this as a bonus?
I'm sorry, I'm confused by the question.
Instead of a raise, a bonus. Is that not?
I think it's in the contract. I think the contract says it has to be a raise.
I understand. You and I have already spoken about the idea of extending bonuses to non-bargaining employees in your office. I do agree with Chair Locke that we have a decision in front of us. I value the opinions and cautions of other people on the board. I'm a yes for this.
Ms. Reeds, please come to mic. And then Ms. Furtado.
Okay, so now I'm your lawyer. Let's talk about your union contracts. All right, she can't give bonuses to her union people because her union people are part of a larger unit. So the public defender's secretaries are part of the court unit. So she can't just give 3 people a bonus. The entire court unit would have to get the same bonus. So that's a no-go. All right. She can hire people in at whatever salary she wants to hire them in. And she has done that. Again, her most recent person, she didn't hire in at the minimum of grade E. She hired that person in at $1.26 below the midpoint of grade F. Okay, of grade E, I'm sorry. And I hired my person in at $2.35 below the midpoint. All right, so she doesn't have to hire people at the minimum, so she can hire them at whatever she wants to hire them at, as long as she has the money in her budget. So with all due respect to my colleague who does a great job advocating, I'm going to push back hard on I can't find people to replace people because you can pay them whatever you want to pay them that you have in your budget. Doesn't matter as long as it's within your budget. Doesn't even matter if it's above the range, frankly. We have people who make above the range. Our system is stupid, but it's not limiting our ability to hire people. This has consequences, very serious. This is not about valuing people. We absolutely value them. This is about money. And okay, so that was thing 1. Thing 2. As far as reevaluating the position of admin legal secretary and senior admin legal secretary exist in county government. It doesn't matter if it's my office or her office or some other office. The position of admin legal secretary, senior admin legal secretary, they exist. And so if someone in her office leaves and she wants to create the admin legal secretary position, she does not have to go to the job content evaluation committee. She can simply enter into a memorandum of understanding with the union to change a position from legal secretary to admin legal secretary. So you do that now with one of the people. Have different ranges. Okay, this is not, doesn't have to come to you in that sense, you know? So my suggestion would be that if somebody left, that would be the appropriate time to go to the union and enter into a memorandum of understanding to change those positions. That's what I did when I changed the three of my legal secretaries to admin legal secretaries. The difference is that the state's attorney's office unit is its own bargaining unit. So if the public defender wanted to go to the union and say, I want to change job classifications, the union is probably going to come back and say, well, let's talk about the whole court system. So it has different implications. Okay, so I appreciate the emotion. I completely support the emotion. Our secretaries, her secretaries, they work very hard. They do great work. They've had to change and evolve. They all have over the years. But the bottom line is that her secretaries and my secretaries make comparable salaries right now. And if you do this, it's gonna create a problem. It is. It has consequences. So let's do this surgically and meticulously and using our contract and using our skills of negotiation. Nobody's even talked to the union. Maybe they would say, okay, we agree, but we'll negotiate and not have the 10% that's under the contract, because that 10% presumes a promotion, a change in job responsibilities, an increase in responsibilities, like when I promoted Janae from admin legal secretary to senior admin legal secretary and gave her additional responsibilities. That's very different from what we're talking about right now. So usually I get the last word, but you're taller than me.
All right. Hold up. Ms. Furtado's been organized. Hold on one sec.
Just to follow up, I agree. What we're discussing right now is, are we going to change these job classifications? And if the job classifications aren't what they're doing, then, like you're right, are we going to just chisel them in stone? However, I also agree that fairness is a thing. And so if you are going to vote yes on this, my ask is, when in a month Julia comes to us and asks us for money for her people to make the salaries fair, that you also vote yes on that. I don't understand how you could vote yes on one half and yes on and no on the other. So I'm not saying don't do it, but I'm saying if you do, to be fair, you would need to allow, we can't just have 13 people that are in the same job and 10 of them make 16% less, because when they got that classification, it was years and years and years ago. And I'm not even talking about ripple effects for the rest of the county. This is literally the administrative legal secretary classification. That seems so unfair to me. So I'm not saying don't vote yes, but I'm saying if you do, you need to vote yes on the second half of the question if it comes before this body.
Yes, go ahead.
What avenues are there to, if any, to update the job description without triggering a wage adjustment? If it's a matter of arguing that they are now have a wider skill set or have learned all these additional skills, and your concern is that the job no longer reflects what the work is, how can that be addressed, if at all?
My understanding is this way. Because my people should have been admin legal secretaries for the last 3 years, and they're not, because of, well, a variety of factors that have already been discussed. But my understanding is that because I am changing an active job description in which a human being sits, this is a promotion under the union contract. And I can't just promote one of them because they all do the same thing. And they are all operating under a job description, which when it was written, we didn't even have these computers. This is a problem across the board. And I'm not saying I don't understand why the state's attorney secretaries would be miffed if my people were making 5 or 10 or however many percent more. And I haven't done the math the way Ms. Fortato has done, but I looked at the numbers. They didn't look all that terrible to me. You guys have the spreadsheets, so you can look at them yourselves. But regardless, you know, I said, Teresa's been working at this county for 23 years and she makes $49K. You can start entry level at Target for $18 an hour and make 36. So I'm not at all offended by wanting my people to have this 10%. It's in my budget. I have the money. It's not going to be a huge increase later for my people. And frankly, giving Julia an extra 50 wouldn't be all that much either, because our county employees get paid relatively low as compared to the private job market. And so I'm not at all offended by that. But if we're going to say that my people shouldn't get their promotion for the job that they're already doing because it's not fair to other departments or other people in the same description, then maybe we need a county rule that every department can only hire in at the exact same amount. Because that's the alternative. I make individualized decisions based on my people's skill sets. Eileen is bilingual. She's incredibly valuable for our Spanish-speaking clients. And so I hired her in a little bit higher than I otherwise would an entry-level person, because that has value to my office in ways that cannot be expressed for our Spanish-speaking clients. And so we are allowed as department heads to make individualized decisions based on the qualifications of the people that we're seeing, because they're different ages, they have different experience, they have different backgrounds, they have different language skills, they have different all kinds of things. So unless you guys are prepared to tell me that I must hire in at 21.03 for every single person in this position, there's gonna be differences in the departments. It's never gonna be exactly equal. But what I know now is that, and I'm not saying I couldn't find somebody to hire in if somebody left. As you all know, I'm great at hiring. I staffed this entire office. So I know what I'm doing when it comes to getting people in. But when I'm looking for somebody and I say, here's the job description that I am giving you, and then I'm asking you to do so much more than that job description, they would be within their rights to say, that's not my job description, because it ain't. That's my argument.
All right, is this horse dead yet? Everybody else is done talking? Awesome. Everybody's got a good point. There are no right answers. There are no great answers. Everybody working for this county deserves more than we can afford to pay them. The problem is we can't afford to pay them what they're worth. Be real nice if we had that public safety sales tax money. But we don't. So, yeah, and that's basically what it comes down to. Closing discussion, we're going to vote on this. The question before you, in case you have forgotten, Job Content Evaluation Committee, creation of the building supervisor, nope, reclassifying the legal secretary position in the public defender's office to an administrative legal secretary. I will remind you that this includes a 10% increase, 3% rate. It's going to cost us about, I don't know, what'd you say, 60-some thousand? Yes, we're voting. Good. All those in favor? Are we gonna do a roll call? Should we do a roll call? I think we're gonna request a roll call on this one, because I think it'll be too close. Thank you. John Farney has requested a roll call. Can we call the roll, please?
Fortato?
Yes.
Greer?
Yes.
Hanauer Friedman?
Yes.
Lokshin?
No.
Pugh?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Rogers?
Yes.
Sexton? Vantage Theorenot?
No.
Votava?
Yes.
Wilson?
No.
Cagle?
No.
Carter?
Yes.
Esri?
No.
Farney?
No.
Locke?
Yes.
Motion passes. County clerk has fee reports. Is that mine or is that? Okay. Monthly reports, May, June, July 2025 are on the website. Semi-annual report, June 2025 is on the website. I have no other business. I have no chair's report. Designation of items to be placed on the consent agenda. We have 8A, 2A, B, C, D, E, F, G, oh, no E, G, H, I, J, K, L, 3A. Three.
Those
Nope.
passed, but they're not unanimous, so they don't
Not
go on
unanimous.
consent.
Okay, very cool. All right, and that's it.
All right, moving on to finance. Ms. Hanauer Friedman.
Okay. Budget amendments, transfers. We have the monthly general corporate budget amendment report. That's information only. I'm going to move right along because it is getting late. Okay. Number 3, budget amendment BUA 2025-8-22, Fund 2685, Specialty Courts, Department 031, Circuit Court, increased appropriations 12,000, increased revenue 0. Reason, appropriation of funds to support client-related costs in the Specialty Courts program through the remainder of fiscal year 25. Can I get a motion? Second. Lockshin. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we have the treasurer, and our treasurer is here and has waited a very long time. Thank you for waiting. The monthly reports from the treasurer's office all the way through July 25 have been posted to the website, and I believe our treasurer is available to give us a brief update if you want to come forward, and then if anybody has any questions, we'll open it up. Thank you, Treasurer Clark.
Thank you very much. And good evening. This is my first time being here, and I apologize on one hand, but also wanted to make sure that I had some things that I could share with you. So as you know, I took office on appointment roughly 4 months ago. Since that time, I have, my first hire was Chief Deputy David Palmer, and the both of us entered our positions in the middle of getting the tax bill out. So it was a very hectic time for our office. I'm appreciative of a great staff and their experience who helped navigate that. It was a really stressful period for all of us. We had to put in extra hours to get it done. And so the priorities that we've had since we've been here are to assess and strengthen our operations. This meant reviewing personnel, processes, and workflows. That's an ongoing process, of course. For me personally, I've been spending a lot of time with personnel and HR, which is a bit unexpected in my role, but something that I've been learning. And as I mentioned when I took office, customer service is really, really important. So we've been sort of streamlining and trying to make more efficient some of the processes so that the taxpayers can benefit from that. Some of the things we've done are to have extra drawers at the front desk, and now we also have implemented separate drawers so that we can have accountability among the staff. We have been reviewing the tax sale packages to make sure they're compliant with the statutes. We have corrected drainage district file errors and performed sale and error file cleanup going back to 2020. And we have also, of course, been spending a lot of time on our collection and distribution. So some of the numbers there are, and this is as of August 8th, we've collected roughly 57% of this year's taxes for approximately $291 million. This includes 81 e-payment batches totaling $30 million, 25 escrow batches totaling $68 million. And we've also completed 2 distributions, with the second one, of course, getting out by the June 30th effective deadline, so the school districts can take care of their business. The first distribution was $160,781,000, and the second distribution was $102,526,000. So again, I think that all things being equal, we have had a really strong start in our office with as few hiccups as possible. And again, a lot of that is attributed to the staff that does have some experience. Another thing that we've been able to, that's really helped us a lot, is we hired we have contracted with Ashley Emke, who has extensive experience as a deputy chief treasurer in Vermilion County. She's currently in our office on contract. It is our intention to attempt to bring her on as a permanent employee in the office. And so, let's see. Looking ahead, of course, hire Ashley is a big goal of ours. We want to continue to strengthen internal controls and efficiencies, maintain the customer service, and keep training our staff to be even better and more exceptional than they already are. We want to build proactive systems that allow us to anticipate challenges. So anybody that understands the Treasurer's Office knows that we are often in reactive mode because we are sort of the last line in terms of the cash flow in the county. And so that said, there are ways that we can begin to be more proactive and anticipate things. And part of that is working with other department heads, especially those who are involved with the tax flow cycle. And so we're spending a lot of time working on that as well. And so that's it. Thank you. Any questions from anyone?
I know last month's meeting, there was some concerns about the tax bill. Can you kind of explain what was the hiccup about?
Yeah, as I mentioned, the way the tax bill, so there are several offices involved in bringing the information together that goes on the tax bill. And so there, in transmitting some of the information, there were some delays that caused the delay in the first tax bill going out. Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, and it was a brief delay, but there was a delay. And but again, just co-coordinating throughout the offices.
And thank you. I appreciate your service. I did try to stop in and speak with you the other day. I know you're a busy person, but I like speaking with our county departments. I think that the role that you have in this county is very important. And one thing that you just mentioned is it has to be done collaborative. So you're working with other departments to get your job done. And I like that. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because nobody can do this by themselves. So thank you so much, Mr. Clark.
Thank you.
Chair Locke.
Hi. First, you mentioned customer service, and I have to tell you that I've heard from some constituents who maybe started off angry, but they loved your front desk staff. I cannot remember the woman's name off the top of my head, but she told me that your employee, whose name I'm not remembering, is worth her weight in gold. So you probably know who I'm talking about. Pass that along. When I check my notes later from these conversations, I'll pass it along too, because even when somebody was unhappy about the drainage tax issue, and I am going to ask you about that, even when somebody was unhappy about the drainage tax issue, they said how much they appreciate the woman they spoke to in your office. Now, we heard from former board member Stan Harper last month about an issue where he paid his taxes, and other people did too. They paid what they thought was their entire first payment, and then got something in the mail letting them know, hey, you didn't pay this, because it wasn't on the first bill. We understand things happen. You're new to the office. There's multiple offices involved. What steps have been taken to prevent something like that from happening again?
Yeah, that's something that, again, working with other people in the office, I think that relationships are important. And we have talked about that at length. And there's some, one of the measures that we're taking or under consideration now is to just have some file sharing. That way things aren't missed in transmission from office to office. And measures like that, but I assure you that specifically, again, we can't anticipate every single thing, but I assure you that that has been addressed.
I had a boss once who told me mistakes are fine, don't make the same one twice. So, you know, we've talked at length when this first came out. So I appreciate what we've talked about in terms of steps that have been taken. And also thank you for all of the reports on, you can see not all department heads are this up to date. We understand how hard you work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the treasurer? Yeah, Mr. Wilson.
Good to see you. Glad you're here. And what I find refreshing is that a department head has given a status on their department report. So I think that's beneficial for all of us, even though if it's quick. And we apologize greatly that you had to wait so long to give your report. One thing I was encouraged to hear, and I'm not going to belabor the drainage district that's kind of under the water now or drained out now, wherever it's gone. But so you talked about efficiencies that you're doing in your organization. Are these like minor tweaks, or is there a substantial efficiency change that you're working on?
Well, most of them are minor things, just evaluating. So my background, of course, in sales means that I have a lot of training in customer service. So a lot of the things are smaller things that I think lead to bigger improvements. The best way I could put it. Yeah. Yeah.
Your efficiencies are more in customer services, which I hear has been excellent. So thank you.
Well, some of them, yeah, and some of them are also in operations as well, in terms of working with the banks. That's another thing that I have 28 collector banks, and so meeting with them and looking at their processes and trying to smooth those out as well. Yeah.
Ms. Furtado.
I just want to thank you. Every single report that you owe the public or this body is up to date through July. And that has not always been the case in that office. And I just appreciate it a great deal. All your reports are up to date through July, which allows us to have a better understanding. And if you don't look at these reports, these are the investment reports, these are monthly cash flow, like they're super important. So I really encourage the board to check them out.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sticking with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me in.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, moving on, we have C, County Executive FY24 Audit Update Information Only. We have a memo from Travis. Travis, did you have anything additional that you wanted to add, or does anyone have any questions or discussion?
Most everything's pretty similar to last month because it's only been a couple weeks since we last talked, but we are working on tie-outs and continuing those. We've got almost all of them that we can do as of the moment done. I've been working with the consultant, and we can see some light at the end of the tunnel and kind of have a game plan of when we're hoping to have the trial balance to the outside auditors. So, and that will be the big moving forward point and everything going forward. So.
Great, thank you. We appreciate the ongoing work there. Did you have a question for Travis? Yeah, Ms. Carter.
I just got a couple of questions real quick. So this was like the first time this has ever happened where we kind of pulled in somebody outside of the auditor to do the audit. Is that correct?
Last year we did too. We pulled in Orion with RPC.
Right, that's right. So this is our second year. So is this how we're going to go moving forward? Is this how we're going to do business, like with the audits, eliminating the auditor and just bringing in our own folks in?
That is not my decision. That's a board decision.
With your recommendation? Or where does the recommendations come from?
So can we just clarify? I just want to make sure we're talking about the right thing. Are you referring to the annual comprehensive audit, or are you talking about?
So I'm talking about the audit that Jill and Orion is working on. That is the.
So that audit has to be done by a third party. So all of this, so there's multiple parts to it. So there's the pieces that we prepare in-house, which are monthly reporting.
Right.
And that should be done on a monthly basis as the month closes. And then ideally that's turned over to what we refer to as the external auditor, which is CLA. And then they do the bulk of the work that produces the annual external audit.
You do not have the floor, Mr. Danos. Please wait your turn.
I need clarification because this just seems like a lot of mess to me. And I just want to know, what can we expect moving forward? Because to me, what is the auditor's duties moving forward?
Ms. Carter, I think you're actually just jumping ahead to item number 2. So that's what we're about to discuss. So this was just the audit update for what's happening right now. So I think if we just want to move on, I think we'll get to all of that. So number 2, we have preliminary research and proposal per board request of auditor statutory duties, discussion only. Everybody should have the full memo in their packet, and I would ask that Michelle and Steve are available to answer questions on this. I will open it up for discussion and questions. Ms. Carter, you want to ask a question?
So I'm trying to figure this out because this just looks really messy to me. We have an auditor. We brought in 2 of his ex-employees to do the audit, okay, or finish the audit. Okay, moving forward, is this what we can expect every year, eliminating the auditor? And I want to know what initiatives or what direction does the auditor have during this process? Because I think there may be some confusion. I don't see where we're trying to promote working together. We just heard from the treasurer, it's beneficial to work together in county government. And I just do not see that from this administration. So I'm looking for clarity. So if someone could please help me out, I appreciate that.
So I'll just say, I think the issue here is that the work is not getting done in the office that it was supposed to be getting done in. And so this board has taken action in terms of the external audit at this point. We have to get it done. It's ultimately the board's responsibility, right? And so, yes, we have had to this year for the 24 audit bring in external folks who used to luckily work with us, and so they have the institutional knowledge to get that work done. What my understanding is that this proposal would set us up for a much better situation moving forward because we would have some of the basic accounting work that is the basis for the audit and the data that we need to send to the external auditor being done. And that's what's not happening right now. So we need to fix it or say we don't care. I saw Mr. Pugh and then Mr. Farney.
Okay, I do have quite a few questions. I can stop and let Mr. Farney go at some point in time too. This to me looks a little bit like what we tried to do with the referendum that we just put on, that got voted down 3-2 by everybody. But try to get rid of the auditor and move everybody over to the executive. That pretty much what it looks like to you too, or pretty similar?
Are you asking me?
Sure.
No, not at all, because this does not touch the auditor.
No,
This
so
does not touch the auditor.
This is all new hires?
Right, so these are, and my understanding, and again, feel free to jump in, admin, but my understanding is we're talking about positions that do the basic accounts payable functions of the office.
Okay, that's, so we're basically hiring 6 new people is what's being said. We're not moving anybody laterally. We're not moving people around. We're hiring 6 new people for $500,000 roughly.
We're creating those positions, yes.
Are we moving people laterally from the auditor's office, or where are we
I
doing?
don't believe that we can just move people at this point in time.
Okay, so, and if I'm wrong, let me know this. The employees are not getting the work done in the auditor's office right now, is what you said.
That is my understanding, yes.
So why, okay, so all that, it's just, I'm just trying to figure out, so we're gonna have 6 new people to do that work, and we're still gonna have the auditor's office with his full staff too, doing the work?
Through the end of this fiscal year, yes.
Through next year too?
Mr. Danos, you do not have the floor.
No, that's what I'm saying, you know. Is it the idea to reduce the staff at the auditor's office?
Yes, next year, January 1st.
How's the question?
I'm sorry, what's your question?
Is it the idea then to reduce the staff at the auditor's office next year?
That would be a decision for this board through the budget process.
Okay. Mr. Farney can go some. I'll come back later. Thank you.
I wanted to comment on Ms. Carter's question just to kind of clarify some things. We have several terms that are very related here. We have an elected auditor. We have an outside auditor. We have comprehensive annual audit. So it's very confusing to have all these terms together. So I just wanted to clear this up for people at home, okay? So when we look at the office of the elected county auditor, there are duties prescribed by law, okay? And the auditor's office will, even under this proposal, if this is something that we move forward on, would continue to need to serve those roles because we have an elected auditor. Voters said we are going to continue to have an office of county auditor. The county auditor will need to do these statutory duties. Okay, so that's one part of the pie. Then we have the outside auditors, Clifton Larson Allen, the people that we pay right now under contract, and every year they come and take information that is provided by various county departments. A majority of it traditionally has come from the county auditor's office, but it's accounting reports, basically. They need to do their job. Okay, so we got that part of the puzzle. And then we have the annual audit, that actual document. In statute, it does not say that the elected county auditor's office has to do that. In fact, most counties, there's 102 counties, there's 17 counties that have county auditors, there's 16 counties now maybe. And most counties, even amongst the ones that have county auditors, they don't produce this annual audit. They provide information to a finance department or some other form within administration. So the duties, this is where the auditor's office is very unique. in county government, because the duties that the auditor's office right now in Champaign County is performing are administrative duties that might not be handled the same in other counties or even in other governments. Let's use the city of Champaign, for example. They have a finance department that handles all of their accounts payable. That's just what they do, you know. It's because it makes sense to have that department report to, in their case, the city manager, because it's just day-to-day nuts and bolts. We've got to make sure we're paying the light bills, things like that. Okay, it's just paying the bills. All of those bills still need to be reviewed by someone, and that's where the elected auditor comes in. The elected auditor's office needs to have access to that information, that data, those files, and the ability to go through and look at these items and say, yeah, that's legitimate purchases. No, those are not legitimate purchases. They're following policies, whatever it may be. And that doesn't change under what's in here. That's a statutory duty of the elected officer. We can't touch that. State law says they have to do that. So that would need to continue under any proposal to change the way these things are done. So that's really all I wanted to say at this point. Was I was just hoping to help anybody here who might be fairly new to county government, or with all the terms sounding alike. I just want to make sure, or anybody watching at home, to know that there's kind of different parts of the pie. They're all overlapping, but they all have an important part in the process, but the process can be changed. I think that's kind of the thing that we need to look at. And at our last meeting, when I brought up some of these ideas, the old adage, we've always done it that way. Okay, I was in that office for 6 years. It doesn't have to be done that way. There's lots of counties that do it differently. Counties similar in size to us, counties that have similar with an elected executive or an elected county board chair. Some do it like we do, some don't. It depends on finding the right process that works for us in Champaign County. And so that's why I like that we're at least looking at this right now.
Sorry, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you. This section here that we're talking about tonight, maybe for the next 3 hours, but no, hopefully not. But yeah, and we may, obviously, we're not going to solve this tonight, but the ask from, and I know I was part of that asking people, was let's understand what the roles and responsibilities of the auditor's office is, both from a statutory standpoint and also from an actual administration of that statute. And are there certain items that are duplicative in the county in running their business? And that's what I see here. So what I see here in these couple pages, starting on page 48 for me, is that's exactly what the administration has done. They've said, okay, here's what the various statute requirements are. And also it's delineated what items are actually duplicative, because now I think probably county government has grown over since the last statute was written. And I believe that was really what the ask is. We haven't actually even gone through it yet, and we probably shouldn't tonight because we're running out of time. And I see here that the administration said, okay, here's what the statute is, here, who's doing what part of that statute. And it looks like some items of the statute may not really be needed anymore, like putting a notice in the newspaper that the quarterly audit has been done. And then there's a recommendation. Now, we may agree or disagree with the recommendation, but I thought our goal was, how can we be efficient in administering our obligations to the county in compliance with the statute? And my understanding how we got here in the first place is that most, not all, most individuals believe that the functions and the duties and responsibilities of the auditor's office has not met the needs or demands of the county. And that's why we're here. And so maybe, and that is, the evidence of that is when the consolidated audit is completed. That's the evidence. And the machinations that it takes in order to get it done on time or to backfit the work in order to get it done. I can imagine there's a collaborative effort here among all the different departments to get to this point. However, we're doing our county a disservice, and we're doing the Regional Planning Commission a great disservice if the county can't get its act together to get the audits done on time. And that's why we're here. And there's got to be an answer, and the answer is not keep doing the same thing we've always been doing. So I hope that we can come to some reasonable decision as what's best for the county.
Make a point of order.
Yes.
So this is a discussion only item.
Yes,
So
this is discussion only.
the result of this conversation needs to be direction to staff. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so likely a straw poll, thumbs up.
I would request that we see a resolution on the agenda on this at a future meeting.
Okay, so we don't need.
But we're not voting tonight.
Yeah, the board does not need to be in agreement that this goes on. Okay, thanks.
Mr. Pugh.
Thank you. One of the quick questions actually too on summary responsibility C. It looks like approve of all orders of supplies before the various county officers, before the orders are to be placed with the parties to whom the same are to be given. So it looks like people are just gonna put orders in. If they don't comply, then it just goes to Munis afterwards. There's no catch otherwise for that.
Could you cite the chapter and verse you're reciting here?
C. Sorry, 48.
It's also in the statute C on page 53. So the full statute is on 53, and then the explanation, I guess, is on page 48. So sorry to jump in your time, Mr. Pugh.
Oh, you're fine.
Well, and maybe admin can just clarify. I mean, my understanding of this is you see the individual part of the statute, like C, and then that bullet point below is what admin has inserted to explain how that is how that currently is being addressed.
No, I get that too, but it sounds like, maybe I was just wrong. I'm sorry. It sounds like you actually approve the orders, whoever's going to approve the orders, and then it just gets caught afterwards in Munis. Is that there's no oversight over that or anything like that beforehand? The actual purchase notifying policy is that's just what catches it? Okay.
Yes.
That was one of them too. Because the other question is, if the auditor's office is not getting stuff done, is it because there's not enough people in there doing the work? Is that one of the possibilities? That's why I'm asking here. If we're not going to hire other people to do the work, is there not enough people? Because it says the work is not getting done. I'm assuming all the employees there are working to their fullest potential. They're doing all the job they can do, but the work's not getting done. So do we need more people in that office to get the work done?
Not in my opinion. I'm not sure who you're asking.
Why is that? What's your opinion then?
I would say, I mean, this is not, if you have questions on this proposal,
Sure.
They should be directed to the people who wrote the proposal. I did not write this proposal.
Okay. So the people who wrote the proposal then, why are we not giving him an extra employee or two to get the work done?
Recognized.
Member Carter, you're not recognized. I think the question was directed at who? Who are you asking the question of?
I guess that is the people who wrote it. So it is Steve, Travis, and Michelle.
So I would say two things. One, I believe the auditor's office has increased in staffing size over the years. So why we're So why we're no longer able to accomplish things that we have accomplished before with an even more streamlined computer system logically doesn't make sense. And I will also say there have been multiple reports.
You know why? Because we just have a proposal here. I'm asking you. You
Ms.
put a
Jett was
proposal
answering you. Please allow her to answer and she'll tell you.
There have been multiple reports that the auditor staff have been explicitly instructed to complete tasks very slowly or not at all, to the intentional detriment of departments.
So
I'd like to add.
that's
to
a
that, please.
continuous thing then? That's what I'm asking. Is this is a continuous thing? They've been asked to do this. It's not come up in a performance review. It's not been come up in a union grievance or anything like that.
We can't speak to union grievances at this time.
Thank you.
As your lawyer, we are not going to talk about any potentially currently pending union grievances.
Okay, thank you with that.
I'm going to say, can we keep our question specific to this proposal?
Sure, I
So-
have one for Mr. Danos then, okay?
Well, he is not the one who wrote this proposal.
It pertains to this actually though.
Okay.
I'm actually, I just have one question for him.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you feel you have enough staff to do this job properly?
I do. There's so many things to correct here, but before I make my larger remarks, I do want to thank JJ and Jeff for trying to get to the heart of the matter relatively objectively. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes I criticize you privately, but I will praise you today publicly. I would like to welcome Jason Votava to the county board. We haven't met. Welcome. Let's see. First of all, I mean, JJ is here. JJ knows that he began as auditor in 2012 with the exact same number of staff I have. Why don't you just simply ask him that, Michelle? You're running for county executive. I think you need to do your homework. I have
Actually, you're incorrect.
In what sense? Was it
I had to add a half of an employee.
I wasn't sure if it was under your tenure.
2015.
Okay, I stand corrected. The increase in staff was no.
Okay, I think, George, I think you've answered the question. It was a yes or no question, and you've answered it. Thank you. Brett, did you have any other
You're
questions?
dismissing me from the mic?
Yes.
Yes.
Wait,
This is not your meeting. You were asked a question. You answered. Thank you.
You know what? People are tired of the censorship regime that we've had. You are totally.
Point of order.
Mr. Danos, you are not recognized.
Can I?
Talk to the treasurer. This is the problem. They show me.
He-
Smith, will you ask me questions?
Are there any further questions? We can stop this discussion, I think.
We've just.
I have one
What
question.
clear
Yeah,
directions
Chair Locke.
were you given?
Excuse me, Chair Locke has the floor.
Question to the authors of the memo. After examining the statute and the statutory duties of the auditor, did you identify duties currently assigned to the auditor that potentially do not need to be performed by that office by statute?
We are not lawyers. We do not play ones on TV. But I will say that I think that we can satisfy the statutory requirement of the auditor's responsibilities while also moving the accounts payable tasks and related tasks to those to the executive's office.
And in drafting or in conceptualizing this idea, did you discover are there other counties with an auditor that do similar?
In the same structure where
In the same
accounts payable
structure.
or somewhere, yes.
Yes, okay, thank you. What counties?
I believe McLean is one, and it's listed in here, the multiple counties.
Lake, McLean, Peoria, and Winnebago are the counties you reference. Do all of them or some of them do that?
I believe they all do not have accounts payable in the auditor's office. But
No, they have to by
confirm
statute. Please ask me, Jen.
I can confirm that.
I'm a member of the Illinois Association of County Auditors.
Mr.
I know.
Danos, my question is not directed at you.
Will you please direct a question toward
I have
me?
no further
You need to ask a question from a subject matter expert.
Thank you, Chair Locke. I believe DuPage, Kane, Kankakee, McHenry, McLean all have accounts payable functions performed out of their finance department.
No, that's precisely wrong. Those are the one duty that the.
Point of order.
Is there any further questions for administration on their proposal? Ms. Lakshan?
I guess for me, it boils down to, is the work getting done? We did hear the auditor say he has adequate staff, but it is not getting done.
What are you referring to specifically,
I
Jen?
have the floor. I want to see how we can get the work done. As a board,
which work are you referring to?
I have the floor.
Answer.
As I have the floor, please. Oh my gosh. Can I finish my discussion?
Call a recess at this time. It is 9:06 p.m. A recess has been called.
I would like to request admin to provide a resolution on the full county board agenda on this. Thank you.
I'm not engaging with you any further. You're yelling at people for nothing. You should be tired of it. And you just I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of all of this. What is this? Help me understand. All I see is you interrupting everybody all the time. They trying their best to eliminate him. And you wrong, Julia, because you're supposed to be the mediator, the county, state's attorney, but again, it seems like you follow. I voted to keep the auditor. All of y'all need to grow up. That's what you need to do. I need to understand what's happening. And right now I hear a bunch of people interrupting each other, and it's incredibly frustrating.
Please just simply ask me a question. George, how do you respond to the wisdom of
The problem, George, no. My problem that I've got with that, and I think the sentiment is shared, is it's challenging for me to, one, because I'm not the expert, right? And I fully yield to that, right? There's people that have been on definitions that are fully fine. What I get frustrated with, and what I don't understand.
At 9:07, we do not have a quorum. If we do not have a quorum by 9:10, I will call this meeting adjourned for lack of a quorum.
I would like to point out that Ms. Carter took a picture of me to put on her Facebook, so just so you guys know.
Are we on recess?
3, 4, 5.
Are we on recess?
8, 9, 10, 11. If you stay, we have 12 and we can adjourn. You're leaving. Nope.
Well, do you just want to formally adjourn?
Yep. I said I'd wait till 9:10. We're good. We're not going to have 12.
Ed left.
All right, calling this meeting back into order. It is 9:08 p.m. We do not have a quorum. However, all voting has ended. I turn this back over to Ms. Hanauer-Friedman to place items on consent.
Ms. Friedman.
I can do that without a quorum. Yeah. Okay.
Ms. Hanauer-Friedman, can I request that you repeat your last statement before everyone left the room? I did not get that over the screaming.
Sure. Yeah, it was a request to admin to draft a resolution on this proposal to have on the full board agenda in August. And then items for the consent agenda are 9, 2, and, well, sorry, it was 7F. And 9, 3. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. We have communications from the board. Would anybody like to offer communications? Mr. Pugh, I see your hand.
Where do I put it at? Excuse me one second. Oh, September 1st is actually going to start the sign up for the electronics recycling. And we do this here, whatever, with the request that was just put by her, maybe if I could get a request to see what the statutorily what the auditor's office would look like too, with the finance department, statutorily what that would look like too. I think that would be great. Thank you.
Any other communications? Mr. Farney?
Yeah, I just wanted to remember a county employee I saw in today's News Gazette that Donna Berkey, she was also known as Donna Alstein, passed away. Donna was a longtime employee of the county clerk's office. She actually is a person that trained me when I started at the county clerk's office in 2006. Donna smiled nonstop, and it was always wonderful working with her. She greeted every person that came into the county clerk's office with a smile, usually a big hug. People getting marriage licenses, they got hugs and everything. I mean, just that was Donna. She'd been living the last several years in Iowa with her daughter, and she passed away after a short illness, and she'll be very, very missed. Thanks.
Seeing nothing further, I call this meeting adjourned at 9:11 p.m.